Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to Patriot. My name is Lake Green, and today we are at an awesome site here in Freehold, New Jersey, not far from Monmouth Battlefield at all. And in fact, this building played a crucial role along with the grounds in the aftermath of the battle. So today we are at the old Tennent Church in Freehold, New Jersey. It was erected in 1751, and this famous church was the pastorate of Reverend William Tennent. The road bears his name, and it stands on the famous battlefield of Monmouth. So it doesn't stand quite on the battlefield, but very close to the fighting, about 500 yards, I would say. So 5 football fields away. All right, so we're walking up towards the church now. Large American flag, beautiful to see. Right there is that's a World War I monument to all the men of Freehold in the area that died or fought as well in World War I. That was erected in the 20s. And here's a lot of family names we saw last week, or a couple of weeks ago, at the Abner Thorpe Cemetery. The Woolley family name, and look, tons of Woolleys right here. They're natives of the area. And there's the church that has stood since 1751 on the grounds. Very awesome. And look at the graves. You can already see there's a lot of age. A lot of age. All right, so before we get into any graves or intricate little details, I'll give you the rundown of the foundation of the building here. This is of all Scots-Irish design, because this building, of course, was founded by Scots-Irish settlers. Over 200 settlers were banished in the late 1690s from Scotland after they opposed King James II's rule. It had a lot to do with religious freedom. They were Presbyterians, and they were not allowed to rule or practice their religion freely in Scotland. So they left, were banished actually from their homeland, and came here, landed in South Amboy, New Jersey, and eventually in 1731 settled in, I think it was Marlboro, and it was called Freehold, because, you know, a free hill to practice their faith. And eventually in 1751 they moved to this location and built this building, which has been standing for nearly 300 years, and they have been continuously practicing here for 300 years. They still have mass on Sundays, and it's a large, thriving community still to this day. And there's a lot of history here. As I said, during the Battle of Monmouth, it was used as a field hospital after the battle. So, very cool stuff. All right, so just wanted to point out this plaque here. It said, "In grateful remembrance of Patriots who on Sabbath on June 28, 1778, which is 242 years to the day tomorrow, also a Sunday, so wow, it's kind of coincidental, gained the victory, which was the turning point in the war for independence, and to mark a memorable spot on the battlefield of Monmouth. This tablet is placed by the Monmouth chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, September 26, 1901. And just look how the age of this building. You can see. Look at the door. Look at that door. Look at the hinges and the lock on it. Now look at the windows, the thickness of the glass. It's amazing. And as always, I like to point out, look at the foundation. That is native New Jersey fieldstone to the area. So this has been here a long time. All right, so right in front of the church here, we have a row of gravestones for men who were buried here on the grounds immediately after the battle. So there's a lot of vets in this cemetery, but these are vets that were strictly to the battle here. So here is Lieutenant Colonel Henry Monckton of the English Army, who on the plains of Monmouth on June 28, 1778, sealed with his life his duty and devotion to his king and country. This memorial, erected by Samuel Fryer, whose father, a subject of Great Britain, sleeps in an unknown grave. So Henry Monckton was killed on the battlefield of Monmouth. I think he was shot by an American sharpshooter in the afternoon or the early morning on the attack on Combs Hill or the hedgerow, I believe, if I'm correct. I could be mistaken, but he was buried hastily on the field, and this is just a memorial honoring his life here. So wow. And by all means, he was a very respectable man by every account. A native, I think, of Scotland, I believe. I think it was Scotland. I'm not sure, but somewhere in Great Britain. And he fought against the Americans, but it doesn't mean we can't honor him any less. He was a patriot for his country. So let's hope he rests in peace. And right here, so we'll do all three Americans real quick. We'll start with in memory of Captain Henry Fauntleroy, 5th Virginia Regiment of the Continental Line, born at Naylor's Hole in Richmond County, Virginia, and he was born on the 28th of June, 1756, and he was killed by a cannonball at the Battle of Monmouth on his 22nd birthday on the 28th of June, 1778, 242 years to the day tomorrow. And unfortunately, I do believe he was decapitated. He was either decapitated or lost one of his legs, but I think he was decapitated. He must have died. I think he died instantly. So a terrible way to die on your 22nd birthday, but he died for the cause of liberty and for the independence of the American nation. As did Joshua Huddy. He didn't die on the battlefield that day, but he was a native of Freehold, New Jersey, captain in Huddy's company. So it was his company of the New Jersey State Troops of the Revolutionary War. So they were Continental soldiers of New Jersey State. So they were militia, like many other men who fought here today from New Jersey. They were Continental soldiers in Washington's army, and he died on April 12th, 1782. So the war wasn't even over when he died. I don't know how he died, but he fought here and was buried near his hometown. So God bless him. And these patriots, originals members of the Society of the Cincinnati in the state of New Jersey, lie buried in this churchyard. So here's a list of names of members of the Society of the Cincinnati. Lieutenant James Anderson, Lieutenant Colonel David Ray. We visited his house last week or a few weeks ago at the Monmouth battlefield. Colonel Nathaniel Shutter, Ensign Moses Sproul, Captain George Walker, Captain John Holmes in Holmdel. They pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor that men might be free, 1776 through 1783. So, in conclusion, God bless all of these men. Okay, so I just wanted to take a really quick moment to talk about what happened at this church on the day of the battle. So basically, on June 28, 1778, as the battle raged about 500 yards away, American and British wounded alike were carried back to this church, and on the inside, the pews were used as tables for a field hospital. So even to this day, the pews on the inside still remain the original ones that were stood there in the 1770s. And if you remove the cushions from some of the pews, unfortunately we can't go in today, but if you did remove the cushions, you would see saw blade marks and blood stains from the work of the surgeons of that day. So all of this is truly hallowed ground, and a lot of suffering and death occurred here. So it's all worth documenting and remembering. So quite honestly, there are so many veterans buried here and so many old graves that we could be here all day if we talked about them all. But I wanted to go through here with these few. This is the Voorhees family. If you remember, you watched my Bethesda Cemetery video, their Voorhees were buried there. They are a native old family of Freehold. So here is John Voorhees of New Jersey, a private 2nd Battalion of the New Jersey Militia, and he was born on January 18th, 1763 and died March 5th, 1817. So he served and fought at the Battle of Monmouth, and wow, he was 15 years old and he was fighting at the Battle of Monmouth. So how crazy is that? A young kid. And I guess that's his family. Yeah, Voorhees. That's very old. Too bad they're faded, but so many veterans, and you can tell by all the markers around here. A lot of burials. So like I said, we can't do all the vets here today, but there is a plethora of Revolutionary War veterans. Freehold native names: Craigs, Voorhees, Johnstons, Claytons, Shanks, but here's a Perrine in memory of Louis Perrine, who departed his life July 28th, 1804, in the 46th year of his age, and he fought in the Revolution and probably at Monmouth. And here's another old grave. You can tell all these old graves. And there's a Shank that right there, the small grave in the second row back. But wow, so many graves here and so much history. You could really see the history of the town on these grounds. Okay, so this is a really cool one. This is Moses Laird. He died in 1798 at the age of 62 years old. He was a soldier in the American Revolution, and he served as a guide to General Washington during the preparation for the Battle of Monmouth. So as the army was marching from Pennsylvania east, he guided them through the roads here, because this was his home. The preparation for the Battle of Monmouth. Moses and family entertained General Washington the night before the battle at their home. In 1778, Moses was one of the signers to the Articles of Agreement for the purposes of retaliation on the Pine Robbers and the Tories. I guess he just voiced his vocal support for the cause of independence. I think that's what that means. I don't know what the specifics are, but here's his grave, and just how cool is that? But I want to point out before I conclude about Moses, I do believe, but don't quote me on this, that he was the original owner of Moore's Tavern in Freehold. And that's a restaurant to this day. I don't know if it's the same guy, but it sounds familiar. I'm not sure. So don't quote me on it, but very cool. Alright, so for the sake of brevity, and although I took a lot of photos today of as many veterans of the Battle of the Revolution as I could find, here is an awesome monument at the churchyard. It's in memory of those known and unknown soldiers of the American Revolution who fought in the Battle of Monmouth and rest in this churchyard. So here is the list of all the names, and I'll take a photo of it too, but wow. Jazz Anderson, John Anderson, Ken Anderson, brothers. David Baird, John Baird, brothers. John Bowman, Joseph Bone, Joseph Brewer, John Campbell, William Campbell, John Chambers, Claytons, Cole, 3 Combs brothers, 2 Conovers, oh my god, 5 Covenhovens, Enoch Coward, Craigs, oh my god, 5 Craigs, Davises, Days, Edwards, Hankinsons, Hendersons, Gordons, Freeman, Foreman. Wow, a lot of veterans here that all bear the local family names. Ardent patriots and true Americans. So as we tour the grounds of Old Tennent Church of Monmouth Battlefield this Saturday afternoon in June, almost 242 years tomorrow to the day of the battle, it is imperative that we honor and remember the sacrifice of all of these people here who fought and died, and some lived, for the nation, for the founding of our nation. And it is imperative that we do these things to show the ordinary contributions of regular Americans and what they can do, and how we as a general public, if we are knowledgeable and in tune with our history, we will be able to preserve the true legacy and culture of this country for generations. And we are really truly inundated in history in this park here, in this graveyard, in this cemetery, and hallowed ground. So thank you so much for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. My name is Lake Green with Patriot Pass. We'll see you next time.